pal of Newt Gingrich, who gave out his book to every congressman in the U.S. It's called The Third Way. And in it he says, the world we shall bring in will be vegetarian, and it must be so. He doesn't say why. So right down to what we eat, vegetarian diet and all the rest of it, it's all planned for us, and under saving the environment, they're going to force us off protein, believe you me. Because, why protein? When you look at India, and these guys use histories, very ancient histories, and recent and modern histories as well, to the full. And they always have historians on board and philosophers you'll find in the top think tanks. India has been ruled basically by Brahmins, the Brahmin caste or class, for thousands of years. And the easiest people to get to obey you, they're kind of sluggish in certain ways and so on, are people who are malnourished on a very minimal diet. I'm talking about full vegetarian diet here. Once they're in charge of your food, you'll find that even the vegetables become restricted until you're missing out on vital amino acids and so on. But you're very compliant, you're not too bright, you do what you're told, you certainly will never rebel. And that's the technique. That's why they want to bring in the vegetarian world.
And of course, they're very advanced in genetic engineering, and magically they continue to change the different structures of GMO, tomatoes, potatoes, corn, where it sterilizes all the guinea pigs and rats and other rodents they're feeding them to. And I've had top genetic engineers on saying they believe this isn't by accident.
No.
So they're going in and making the very food we eat sterilize us, and we then see the sperm counts dropping, fertility in women plunging. We're the globalists have been in control of the West. We see the death of the West with on average a 1.3 replacement rate. Please continue.
Yeah, they've weaponized the food. And you see, again, in this world, the world that they decided they were going to bring in an awful long time ago, they said, and this even came out in the Cold War and different books and so on, they said that no truly big international corporation dealing in technology or science could be allowed to be free to go its own way. They even said that the Cold War would be won with those countries and nations with superior sciences. Now remember, food comes under warfare. It always has since ancient times. Monsanto and all these big boys that have an ear to presidents and prime ministers across the world, once again, a special ear, I call it, dictate to governments as to what they want, and they always get what they want. Now, they're part of the military-industrial complex when you go into the history of Monsanto and the chemical industry and Agent Orange and all the rest of it that they've used in past times. You don't bring hundreds of top genetic scientists together that formerly were working in the only places they could work, and that was in the warfare industry. You don't bring them together to make a better carrot or a better potato. You do it because you are truly what you eat.
Well, look at the one plastic they unified out of hundreds of different formulas that didn't leach estrogen-mimicking hormones. They had global adoption in the 60s of the class of plastic that leaches it, and now they admit it's going on and say, well, in a way, that's a good thing, and maybe we should put this in the water to stop you having kids. And they put this on the news now, and the yuppies go, yeah, do that to those poor people, not knowing they're under the gun as well. So that's one of their master points, is making kind of the low-level minions feel like they're part of this predatory power trip. But expanding on that, if you look at the GMO foods, again, it's been confirmed to be sterilizing people. I want the population to understand that we're not just saying this. This is really happening. Go ahead.
Well, plus you have this. Whenever you get something that you would think would be a crisis, like the males of the West being 80% down on sperm count, and what's left is almost immotile. It's not moving. And every year, for 50 years, departments of statistics like the United Nations and Britain and Canada give these same statistics. Oh, it's dropped even further. Then they go in they'll give the stats on different kinds of cancers that have exploded since the 1950s as well. And this is all normal now. There's no crisis made about it. Well, how come there's no crisis made about it? It's because it's part of of the agenda. That's why they can calmly give you statistics and without mentioning the obvious. My God, everyone's becoming sterile or dying of cancer. That's the agenda. This is part of the population reduction control. Now, years ago, I read an article on Prince Charles, I remember all these, the nobility of Europe and America. America has a nobility. They have their private estates where they have tenant farmers. That's down through the centuries. They've done television shows on them in Britain and elsewhere. They have their own vast herds of Angus beef and all the rest of it that do not eat anything that's modified. They have their fields of their wheat and their corn and all the rest of it, but it's not modified. They have their sources of supply. But they're making sure by law that we are going to eat all this modified stuff, the weaponized stuff, because it's part of the plan. That's the reason for it.
J. Rockefeller.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Never mind what they've done. You see, we forget, too, that the most potent drugs ever developed came from plants. You can make plants grow anything. We know how far advanced they are to do with brain chemistry. And today, with the various high-potent drugs they have, they can make plants produce anything, dumb you down, make you passive, obese, whatever they want. They can really switch the whole chemistry of your body, and that's why you bring genetic bio experts in to make your food. Food is a weapon, always been used as a weapon.
All right. And absolutely. At the United Nations Food Conference in '96 in China, the Director General of the Food Program said we will use food as a weapon and we don't apologize for it.
That's right.
When we come back, I'm going to back you up, Alan Watt, because there's an entire industry for decades called pharmacological crops where they brag they can make the plants do whatever they want them to do, and they're medicalizing them and using them as weapons against us right now.
Do you understand how dark it is? How far down the line we are? How late it is?
Coming up, we're going to play some clips of Lord Rothschild and Maurice Strong. We also have clips of them talking about how we're cannon fodder. The scum! We've almost got them. Look at them. They're almost sterile. They're all dying of cancer. They'll never fight us. Look at those police serving us, thinking they're part of the system. All implanted. When the hormonal fluctuation triggers it, it will metastasize. All on record, all laughing at you. They're talking about Republicans and Democrats, Labor and Tories, as if there's any other little slaves. Alan Watt is our guest. I remember about 6 years ago, I read on air an AP report about a Texas-based company, Protogene. And it said that they had a pharmacological crop that grew live AIDS virus in the corn. And then it had been open-air planted, and then that they'd violated some rule, and so it had to be destroyed. And it also produced a bunch of other things. And people called me, didn't believe that they have crops that grow live viruses or bacteria. The BT corn, one of the most popular corns out there, has been linked by major government studies in Germany and Europe and also in China to killing the honeybees, because it's a live pesticide that is grown in the corn itself, and you still eat it. Now, this is all the big joke, and everything's about sterilization. And so now they're cracking down on organic farming and everything because, folks, they mean business. This is life and death. They are eugenicists. And so they have thousands. In fact, Google right now, for everybody, just minimize that video, pharmacological crops, that term, pharmacological crops. You'll get millions of hits all announcing, oh, this crop's got 14 different animal and 10 different plant and 5 different insect genes, and it produces all these chemicals, or it produces a live virus, and we harvest it for vaccines because they can program plants to do whatever they want. Then you tell the public, kind of like the famous story of me saying they have spider goats, part spider, part goat. And I had the CEO of the company on in upstate New York at an Army base, and it produces body armor out of the milk. And I had a guy at Conan's Pizza, I was picking a pizza up, come up and poke me in the back and almost start a fight. I used to like you, but you're a liar. I took biology at UT, and they don't have part spider goats. And I said, sir, it's CBS News. And he got in my face and kind of almost bulled up, and I had to say, look, I'm not lying, but believe what you want. Alan, they think we're living in 1900. They don't know. This is Buck Rogers.
That's right. The average person has been given the biggest mind job in this generation than any previous generations ever had before. And Brezinski is such a massive player in all this, but he is an expert on the mind of populations. He was the head of the NSA for a long, long time. He's been advisor to, I think, every president behind the scenes. And he said himself that shortly the public, in his own book, Between Two Ages, shortly the public will be unable to reason for themselves. They'll truly believe the news media. In fact, they'll look at the news media as an extension of the reasoning powers the media will do